Good morning and welcome to the third episode of, we are live now. I am on the desktop, finally figuring it out, and we are live for the third episode of Morning Coffee Talk with the Welcome Waggin. I am your host, Dr. Jenny, owner and medical director of the Welcome Waggin, and I am here for an exciting episode today. So I'll just give a little moment, see if anyone's gonna pop on this morning. You guys are having a lovely Tuesday. I'm still getting over a cold, so I hope I don't have to stop this live for any means whatsoever. So today I'm going to keep it short and sweet from the live version because I have something really exciting for all of you guys. This week's topic is all about our veterinary technicians. It is Veterinary Technician Appreciation Week, and it is a week that all the techs look forward to every year. So I thought it would be really cool to interview them and then piece all the interviews together so you could get to know our technical staff even more. So all that part is done. We did all of our interviews last week. So after the live in a couple days, I will have our Amazing Whisker Cloud team put together all those interviews for our YouTube channel, and we'll repost it back here on Facebook and get it out on our website and all of that. So more to come. So I will just be telling you a little bit about what being a veterinary technician is like. So again, the purpose of this series is really to help us live out our mission even more. Our mission is to celebrate life and the human-animal bond, and currently we're doing that by providing exceptional veterinary care in the place pets love most, their home. But in order to reach a broader audience, in order to better serve our clients, this series is being born. And it's really just to start a conversation, a community-based conversation about how we can enrich our pets' lives, how we can make sure they stay healthy and safe and happy for as long as possible. And our pets, they wouldn't stay safe, happy, and healthy as long as possible without those veterinary visits. And those veterinary visits wouldn't work well without our veterinary technicians as part of that amazing team process. So, they are so vital to everything that we do. And so first off, I just want to give some updates on what's going on with the Welcome Waggin this week. This week it is a lot of technician updates because we did just hire another certified veterinary technician who had her first shorter day today. She's doing one day this week, one day next week, and then she'll be with us part-time in November, and we are so excited for her to start because that means we are going to be able to offer more technician appointments. So currently Marissa is almost completely booked up. She's going out Tuesdays and Thursdays doing, mainly she's booking up with our laser therapy. So we'll do another whole episode on just therapeutic laser therapy care and all the amazing ways that it helps with tissue healing and reducing pain in our mobility patients and all of those different things. So that's for another topic because I could, obviously talk way longer than I need to. So she started this week, which was really exciting. We have not been able to plan a big holiday party, so we are in the works, obviously with the pandemic and everything, so we are in the works of planning our first holiday party in the city, so I'm excited to gift our team with that. And, before I go into what it's like to be a technician, I just want to share with you all the amazing things that we're doing during Technician Week. So, obviously, mental health and well-being is very important. It's not just important for the veterinary community, it's important for each and every one of us in our lives, and there's such a stigma around mental health. And so, as also a life coach, I always tell my team that self-care could either be your greatest liability or your greatest asset. And especially for people in the helping profession where we are seeing a lot of sad things happen, it could really drain us and it could really come home with us. And so this week I'm talking with my team all about the importance of self-care and how self-care comes in many, many different forms. So part of all their presence this week is They will all be taking time during work hours to go treat themselves to a manicure or pedicure just down the road, helping support other Plainfield businesses. So I'm excited to give them the gift of just an hour relaxation and just a little spa day treatment for themselves. We are also having my personal trainer come next Monday to do a yoga session with the team, and I hope they definitely take me up on it. Because there's so much benefits from doing breath work and slowing and doing yoga and all of the different aspects that come with that. We talk a lot about mindfulness and meditation here at the Welcome Waggin. And then I have also gifted them with the Calm app, which is a meditation and app for them. So this theme this year is all about slowing down, wellness, mindfulness, and how we could better take care of ourselves. So if you see any of the technicians this week, definitely ask them how they are doing and give them a good shout out. So I'll go ahead and get a little sip of my coffee. So I guess where I really wanted to go before we turn it over to the team is just talk about veterinary technicians. So it is a ever-changing industry and an ever-changing profession. Let me know in the comments, any of my nurse clients out there or listeners, watchers, whatever, out there, because I feel like the veterinary technician side is very much like a human nurse. But many years behind where human nursing has been able to progress, and it's going to be probably changing really soon within the next 15, 20 years. So in Illinois, you do not need to be a licensed veterinary technician to do a lot of work that veterinary technicians can do. Certain states are different. When I used to do recruiting, I used to cover 11 different states in the Midwest, and some, especially like Ohio, you had to even just be licensed in order to even draw blood. So every state is a little different. But there are certified veterinary technicians, there's registered veterinary technicians, and there's licensed veterinary technicians. In Illinois, our certified veterinary technicians are called CVTs. And they're the ones who have gone through schooling in order to earn their credentials. There are still a lot of, it's still okay for a lot of on-the-job training to occur. I started on-the-job training. My mom went back to school to be a nurse when I was in 8th grade, and I just thought nursing was really awesome. So I became an EMT, then went to school to become a nursing major. I was not the classic, I wanted to be a vet since I was a little girl. I was always human medicine, ended up at Purdue, again, another story for another day, ended up becoming a vet. But I started in nursing, and so similar to just how nursing it used to be a 2-year degree, then it became they really wanted to have 4-year degrees. Now there's nurse practitioners and all of the different subspecialties within nursing. That's where our veterinary technicians are going. So it's a super exciting time if you know anyone who has any interest in becoming, they don't want to become a vet, but they still want to work with animals and they still want to do a lot of the technical skills. It's a really exciting time because still in Illinois, like you could still be on the job trained. And I'm sure it's going to become less and less as the years go by. But I was on the job trained. Michael, Heather, Sarah, they were all on the job trained, and you'll hear their individual stories shortly. Christy, when you hear her story, she has a subspecialty within the industry, and so it's so awesome to be able to have that. But the biggest thing that one of the things I asked them is like, what did you want the general public to know about your profession? And I think the thing that I want the general public to know is that it's an ever-changing profession, but it's a profession where their heart and their love is in the best place, and they care about their patients so much. And again, I want you to listen to their stories to hear about how much that love affects them, how much that love inspires them, and how much that love just keeps them in a profession that does not pay as well as human medicine, that struggles with all the different avenues that they're going through, but they're still there and they still love it. So there is going to be a shortage of 40,000, I think it's like estimated like a shortage of 40,000 veterinarians in the next 7 years. And we're already feeling that. And I know you guys are already feeling that. You know, one of the things that I know needs to be talked about more is what to do about emergency care. Even this weekend, visiting family up in Milwaukee, their ERs had 7-hour wait times, and it's just because of the shortage that we're experiencing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens within the veterinary technician industry, that if they do kind of move to like how there's physician assistants, how there's nurse practitioners, so many things coming that doesn't really answer your immediate need as the pet parent, but something to be watchful of. And again, someone who has interest in becoming a veterinary technician one day, there's going to be probably a lot of more career growth opportunities that I even had when I was just starting out to get all my vet hours in. So again, it is just an amazing week. So if you see a vet tech, tell them thank you. You know, our human nurses have been just heroes these past couple of years in everything that they've done. And our veterinary technician team has also been heroes in all that they do. So definitely thank a vet tech this week. So before we wrap up the live, I do want to just do our weekly honoring our pets that have lost. And this has been a really rough week. I'm going to look to the side to read all of our patients and loved ones that have passed this week. And again, it's hard for all of us, but I'm super inspired. I watch CBS Sunday Morning every Sunday, and they always talk about noteworthy passings. And I think it's important to say these pets' names one more time as we honor their passing, because you know, their stories matter. I love hearing the stories about how these pets enriched their lives. We had tragic losses this past week. We had dogs living well above what we all thought they were going to live. And each one of those pets, for however long they were on the planet with us, they impacted us some way, somehow. So they deserve a little memorial. So let me go ahead and honor those that passed this week. So this week, we lost Muffy, we lost Daisy, we lost Oberon, we lost Bob Barker, we lost Ziggy and Max and Ginger, Tucker and Maddock and Doyd and Hugo and RC and Moose and Hedwig. And it was a lot. So just pausing for a moment to honor those that we did lose this week. To the families who are grieving those pets, we're thinking about you guys. We know how hard this time could be. We're so grateful that we were able to take care of your pets. And as always, it's definitely an honor to be part of that journey. So I'm going to wrap up this shorter live. And stay tuned for about 48 hours. We're going to piece together all the stories of our amazing technicians because they want to celebrate you guys as well, and I would love for you to celebrate them. So happy Tuesday. Even though we have a lot of loss, for us it's all about honoring those pets, and those pets would want us to go live happy lives in memory and, you know, commiserating and celebrating and all of it. It's the 50-50 part of life, and we're here for it all. And so we're going to go and we're going to do our best, and we are going to live happy lives while remembering those and honoring those we lost. Take care and see you next week. All right, we are back again for Technician Week and to celebrate one of our esteemed certified veterinary technicians, Christy. Christy has been with us, well, she started before I even started. So she's been with us for over 3 years now. And she has just been a blessing to me in all that I have needed with her assistance and making this become an actual legit business and everything. So Christy, I'm excited to interview for Vet Tech Week. Are you ready for me to ask you some questions?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
So I'm asking everybody the same questions because I just love everyone's perspective. But the first one I wanted to ask is, What makes the human-animal bond so important to you?
First of all, like the physical and emotional health benefits that we get from having animal companions, how they impact our lives. They give us security. They help us in times of depression. They help us physically feel better. We know for a fact that there are physical health benefits to having a relationship with an animal. So I just like being able to be part of that and see that happen and be a person who can help people develop a better relationship with their pets.
All those physical and health benefits are just really so important that sometimes we take for granted what a life would be like without an animal.
Right. I mean, I tell my students all the time at the college that my worst nightmare or my worst fear would be living at a point where I wouldn't be able to have my own pet. And I've had a period in my life where I haven't been able to have a pet, and it's been really hard not having one.
Yeah, I mean, they really are there to enrich our lives. So obviously you have a very rich history within veterinary medicine. So we all know your story, but I'd love for you to share with our clients a little bit about how long you've been in vet med, your technical background, and everything like that.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in the field I was looking at that this morning. It'll be 27 years in a couple months. So I'm feeling older than I think I really should. I've always loved animals. I grew up in a family that did not, it's not that they don't like animals, but they don't have like a true appreciation for the benefits that animals can bring. And so my whole life I spent begging to get a dog, and finally I got a dog when I was 15. And it never really dawned on me having a career working with animals, because I didn't grow up in a family that was like, oh, you could be a veterinarian or something. So when I got this dog and we started taking him to the vet's office, I started learning more about animal care. And I was on a completely different career path. And at the time I was working in a McDonald's, and I was supervising a team of people, and one of them called off and I had to go work in the drive-thru. And if I had not worked in the drive-thru that day, probably wouldn't be here. Because my dog's veterinarian came through the drive-thru window, and she remembered that I had this horrible beast of a dog, and he made an impression at their clinic, and she told me she had a part-time position available, and I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. So I took this 10-hour-a-week job, and 2 weeks later, one of their full-time employees quit. But by then I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. And both of them were teachers before they were veterinarians. So they really helped me get to the point where I could get an educational path going. And ultimately they, helped support me through all of the career endeavors that I've done. I've earned some additional credentials and ultimately have taught and developed some veterinary training programs at multiple colleges across the United States. And I've done a lot in end of life and death care and hospice care and pet loss and grief. So I kind of have a really good, well-rounded, diverse experience that led me back to practice. So here I am.
Yes, Christy, you have such an amazing experience within just the technical world and everything like that. So you kind of gently talked about all your credentials and everything, but tell us a little bit more. You're not just a certified veterinary technician, but you also have your specialty in education. So tell us a little bit more about that and what made you get interested in going down the teaching route.
Sure. When I was going on an interview process to get into vet tech school, one of the questions that I was asked was, where do you see yourself in 20 years in the veterinary world? And my answer was that I wanted to teach. I wanted to be in a college classroom. And apparently I was the only person who had ever said that. So 4 years after I graduated, the person I interviewed with remembered that. And they said that they had a teaching position available, and it was part-time, and it was going to be just for one class, one time, over and done. But I did such a good job that I ended up staying on at that school for 15 years. And then I've taught at 7 other vet tech and vet assistant programs. And through those colleges, I was encouraged to earn my bachelor's in veterinary technology, which is it's like a terminal degree in our field, or although it won't be soon, because now there's going to be a master's, which is cool. And then I got my specialty in vet tech education. So I went back to school to get an educational certificate and credential. And then I published a textbook, which was an endeavor I never thought I would do and probably don't ever want to do again. But I'm really proud of that. So it was exciting.
And she was working through with us during those final stages. So we were so excited for her when her textbook finally came out.
Yeah, every chapter I remember telling you guys, I finished one more chapter.
I know. So what do you love most about being a veterinary technician?
What I never thought I would say this, because when I first entered practice, everybody's like, I want to work with animals so I don't have to talk to people ever. And then I realized that every animal comes with at least one person, most of the time too. Most of the time they don't agree on what should be done with that animal. So when the more I've, progressed through the profession, the further away I got from the client aspects of it, because, I was removing myself from a hands-on practice to get into academia. But I realized that I really, really missed the clients and helping them. And so now being back in practice at the Welcome Waggin, my favorite part is talking to clients every day and being able to answer their questions and find resources for them. I kind of feel like a social worker at times, like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try to find something else. So just being able to function in an educator's role, but much differently than I would in a classroom. And I feel like I have a more direct impact on animal care than I did when I was educating students, because I know that I feel like I'm just educating more in the future of animals when I educate students. But when I'm talking to clients, it's more immediate, and it's really nice to hear them say, thanks, that helped.
Yeah,
I really like
get that
part of it.
instant gratification of knowing you're making a difference right then and there.
Yeah, well, and just seeing the patient progress too. I start a phone call with an animal who's super, super sick, and then we go through the process of, educating and scheduling and appointments and testing. And then ultimately weeks or months later, that animal is feeling better and the owner has what they need to support that animal in the home. So it's pretty rewarding to feel that kind of impact. And ultimately I'm, enhancing the human animal bond by doing that. So it's multifocal.
Of course. Now, Christy and I could get lost for hours just talking about the state of our industries. After recruiting doctors, became very passionate about all the things that veterinarians go through. And then Christy, being an educator in her field for all those years, is very passionate about the veterinary technician side. So if there's one thing that you would want the general public to just be made more aware of about what it's like to be a veterinary technician, what would be something that you would want them to know more about?
I would like them to have a little bit more insight on the difference between credentialed versus non-credentialed vet techs, and there's a value for both. I mean, I'm not saying that we should have one over the other. There's definitely value for both, but I think that there's a lack of awareness for the general public on what it actually means to be a credentialed vet tech and what it took to get there. Obviously I don't want people thinking that I'm petting puppies and kittens all day. The old, oh, you pet puppies and kittens all day. Nope, that's not what I do. So just general knowledge on our field in general. And that, I know the human nurses don't like us to use their title of nurse, and I would like to respect that as well. But we do function in a nursing role and provide nursing care on an actual medical level, not just like all the fluff and fun stuff, that we're dealing with some pretty serious sick cases, and educating pet owners so they can have the information they need to make good decisions.
Yeah, it's interesting. My mom went back to school when I was in 8th grade to become a nurse. And at that point in time, it was almost starting to become a requirement that nurses needed their bachelor's versus their associate degree. And the nurse practitioner field was growing and everything like that. Yeah. And it seems like vet med obviously is always lagging a little bit behind, but now as we start to go into a state of a shortage of veterinarians, we're going to be looking to our credentialed technicians and seeing how they could then help in and where that goes for them. So it's going to be interesting to see where the profession does go in the next 10 to 15 years to meet this shortage that we're going to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I've got a colleague who's entering one of the first rotations of the master's program. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those degrees, and how the field ends up utilizing those additional skills and advanced level trainings.
Yeah, so for those who do have an interest and passion in veterinary medicine, there's going to be even more opportunities for you, whether you become a vet, whether you become a technician, and all the offerings that there will be.
Right.
to wrap up, obviously you started talking a little bit about why you liked house calls and everything like that, but I'd be a little biased to say we can't leave this conversation without celebrating how awesome house calls are.
Right.
So what do you love the most about working in a house call business versus a traditional practice?
Yeah, so I think it was really eye-opening coming to house call, because I've come from a general day practice, and then I spent a lot of time in emergency and critical care practices. So my perspective coming into the Welcome Waggin was like, oh, what are we going to be able to do in the home? I really just thought we'd be vaccinating animals. And I mean, the amount of patients that we can care for and provide services to without having them go to the vet's office, I think is really outstanding. And my favorite part is the level of insight that has increased from the view of practice. So like when we're in a patient's home, we can see that your pet with mobility problems doesn't need their litter box on the basement floor of your house. It needs to be somewhere where they don't have stairs, or, the food bowl that you keep up on the dryer so that the dog doesn't get it. The cat might have mobility problems and not be able to get up on the dryer. But owners don't think to tell us those things when we're in practice. So being in the home and being able to see the pet functioning in its own environment and seeing what types of stressors there might be in the home itself, I think really increases the amount of care that we're able to provide in even a better quality than I witnessed in general practice, where we were actually just at a hospital.
Yeah, I'd say so much of what we also do is just advocating for that pet, because we're able to see what it's like when we're fully present with them and get to know them very well. So it's a completely different experience for sure.
Right. And just seeing the different, I feel like we have a far better insight, or maybe not better, but a deeper insight on the family dynamic too, because typically when they come to the vet's office, it's one or two people bringing the pet, or maybe, a parent with some kids there that are all distracted in the waiting room. But in their house, we can see how the kids interact, and we can see how they drop their toys around the floor, and we can see how the parents, bond with that animal. So it's really cool to see them, in their own personal environment. It's really humbling to be invited into that home as a practitioner.
Oh, yes. Well, I couldn't agree more, Christy.
Yeah.
Well, as always, I am so grateful for you. I appreciate you so much. Christy has been so instrumental in helping us build our processes out within our business and really help establish our roles. Again, it was just Christy and Sarah when I first purchased this from Dr. Lisa, and we really had to understand how we develop our CSR position, how we develop our travel techs, how we develop what Christy and Marissa do, our patient care coordinators. And Christy's been so instrumental in that process.
Thank you.
Christy, you have a wonderful day, and
thank you
for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. Happy Vet Tech Week.
Yay. All right, and welcome back to another series of Interview Our Technicians. We're so excited for Technician Week, and I am super excited to talk with our Sarah, who's been around since almost the very beginning of the Welcome Waggin. And Sarah, I'm interviewing all of the technicians to just have our clients learn more about you guys and all the amazing things you do, and really just bring awareness to what life is like being a technician. So are you okay asking me a few questions?
I am.
All right, so pretty much asking everyone the same question. So anyway, tell us why the human-animal bond is so important to you.
Well, for me, I feel like the human-animal bond is super important. It helps with my mental health, my physical health. When I'm having a bad day, I go home, my animals are there. I completely feel like they know what I'm going through. There's studies that show that it brings down your blood pressure, and I know my life is better because of them, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's just the general theme is, us who have been so inspired and called to work within this veterinary field is because we just see that amazing benefit of that human-animal bond, and we want to celebrate it with all of our clients as well. So obviously you've been with us the longest, and you've been so instrumental in helping me get established as the new owner of the Welcome Waggin. But take us back. Tell us how you got started with being a technician, as well as how you started to work in the Welcome Waggin.
I've always known that I wanted to do something with animals, for sure. One of my first jobs, I was probably about 16 years old, working in an animal hospital. My job was to shampoo all the cats that came in that had fleas before surgery, give them their meds, all that kind of stuff. And then I just kind of went on from there, and I kind of got grandfathered in, and I started working at like brick and mortar clinics. You know, I absolutely loved it, but about 16 years ago, the clinic I was at before I started here, I kind of felt like I was getting a little burned out. It wasn't really what I wanted. So I was going to actually go back to school and try something different. And then I met Dr. McIntyre. Actually, she came to go to do a euthanasia for one of my clients, my pet sitting clients. And it was a completely different experience. Like, I've seen euthanasias, I've been a part of them, but doing it in the home was completely different. And I was blown away. And she kind of started asking my background. I told her that I was at a clinic, but I was actually going to leave. She convinced me to, come on with her and give it a try. And that was 13 years ago. I don't know if it's 13 or 14 years, but yeah. And I love it, and I wouldn't do anything different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so amazing. Like, you've been through it all. You've kind of seen the Welcome Waggin in those early years, and then the transition years, and now like the past couple years as we've been growing and expanding, because I just want so many people to be able to utilize this service. I feel like anyone who has access to a house call vet is going to be able to have better care for their pet.
For sure.
So tell us more about, like, why do you love being a technician?
I love it because I get to know our patients, and I think definitely, like, being a house call service, we even get more of a bond with them. Like, I mean, some of our patients I've known from the time literally they came home until like the end of their life. I mean, I've been super lucky, and I mean, yeah, and a lot of them, they've started off puppies or kittens, now they're seniors, and I think that going into someone's home, you're able to see how the pet really reacts, and it's completely different. When you're bringing them into a clinic, majority of pets are nervous. They're smelling all the other animals. I mean, they don't really know the difference. We come in and they're like, okay, I have new friends here to visit, and they're kind of weird. They're petting me kind of funny, but it's a different thing for sure. And I just love it. I think, I wouldn't be doing anything else. So.
Yeah, and you're so good at that bond in terms of connecting with the clients as well as the pets. One of the things we're also trying to do is like bring awareness of like what it's like to be a technician. This is a growing field, but it's a field that also has a lot of burnout and things like that. What is one thing you would want the general public to know about what it's like to be a technician?
I think, one thing I would want everyone to know is, it's hard for us we bring a lot of it home. I think we try and kind of separate it, but we get attached to our patients, we get attached to our clients, and we feel what they feel when their animals are really sick and not doing well. I mean, we know what that feels like as pet owners, and I think I would just kind of like them to realize that or not realize, I'm sure a lot of them do realize it, but I would like them to know that like it's definitely hard, and we bring that emotion home, for sure. And so we're kind of lucky, I think, more so than the average clinic, because we have wonderful clients. I mean, that's one thing that I just am so grateful for is, our clients are just wonderful. And I think that more so than other technicians, I think that's why we don't get burnt out as much. But yeah, the one thing I would want them to know is, it is hard. Sometimes it can take a little bit from you for sure.
Yeah. And that's just, the general theme that we keep hearing from all of our technicians is how hard this profession can be. And so many people think we're just playing with puppies and kittens all day,
Right.
but we're dealing with many times just chronic diseases, sick pets, loss, all of that. And we love our puppy and kitten visits. Those are what keeps us sane and grounded and everything like that. But it is an honor to be able to be there during those difficult moments. So I asked everyone this, even though you've kind of been talking about it the whole time, but what makes house calls so great? So I'm going to steal your thunder for just a bit and tell everyone what I've learned from Sarah. So Sarah has just amazing customer service experience. My first practice was an all walk-in practice. So I was seeing 30 patients a day. I did not have time to get to know my clients at a much closer level. And what I've learned from Sarah is how well she's able to sit and get to know clients and actually call them by their name versus oh, Fluffy, John, whatever. I'll know the pet's name, but she was the one that when I first started practicing before I even purchased this, helped me realize that each pet is connected to a human and how awesome that human is too. So if there's anything else that you haven't already mentioned, what makes house calls so amazing?
Yeah, just like what I was saying, the connection with the clients and the owners. It's not just about the patients. Obviously, we all do this because we love animals. I don't think there's anybody, any doctor, any technician, any, even our CSRs who are answering the phone. There's not one person who doesn't love animals, but I think a big part of that is the owners. Again, we're really lucky, and I think we all realize that, how lucky we are, especially during the pandemic. A lot of, especially emergency clinics, my God, the doctors and technicians were, they were burnout, and I think that, we obviously took on a lot of new clients, new patients during the pandemic, but I almost felt lucky to do that because we were able to help. And it was more of feeling gratitude versus burnout. Yeah. And I think that's what house call does for sure.
Well, I am so grateful for you, Sarah, and I love all that you bring to this team.
I'm grateful for
that. Happy Tech Week, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Okay, we are back for another edition with another one of our technicians, Marissa. Marissa is one of our certified veterinary technicians, and so she'll tell her story shortly, but she has been with us since the start of the year, and she has been instrumental with helping us grow our travel nurse days. So we love that you're here, Marissa, and we're so excited for all that you bring. She's our lead technician, and she also works on all of our inventory, so she is super busy here at the Welcome Waggin. So today I'm going to ask her a couple questions to just kind of learn a little bit more about Marissa. So, okay, Marissa, tell me why the human-animal bond is so important to you.
I think it's a pretty basic answer for me. You get out of the relationship what you put into it with your furry friends. So they're always going to be there for you as long as you take care of them. And they're not going to judge you when you're going through things, and always going to be a shoulder to cry on.
Oh yeah, I feel like the human-animal bond is the classic example of unconditional love.
Yes.
They are going to love you no matter what. So tell us, how long have you been a technician, and what led you down this career path?
I started school in 2011, and I started my first job in the field in that same year. But then I became certified in 2013 and have been practicing ever since in different roles. And honestly, since I was a kid, typical story, I wanted to be a veterinarian when I grew up. But then I lost my way in high school, kind of forgot what I wanted to get into it for. So eventually, I did a little bit more research and talking to more peers and rediscovered my passion for animals. And really where I belonged was being a technician, doing more of the hands-on and being able to do almost everything a doctor can do, but being able to have that more personal one-on-one relationship with the patient.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I was a nursing major to begin with, so it's like the same thing where I started nursing, somehow I became a veterinarian,
Yeah.
but it's so, a lot of people, like, they go one way, and then sometimes high school, when you're young in your 20s, it's hard to know what you want to do with,
Yeah.
and it's so awesome that you found that and everything like that. What would you say, obviously, over 10 years now being a tech, what do you love most about the field and being a technician?
Honestly, just the animals. And as cliche as it is, but every animal has a personality, every animal has a story, and you kind of just have to learn to love them and take what you can from their body language, and I just like figuring them out.
Yeah, and it's probably, I think we're all kind of could relate, us animal lovers, it's like it's a different animal every day, they have their own personalities. But then it's also fun, like the different species have their own, or like the breeds have their own personalities and everything like that. So that's probably why a lot of people, like, they do stay in this profession forever, is because they can't imagine not working with animals.
Yeah, really.
What would you want the general public to know about what it's like to be a technician, or how to go get into school or anything like that?
I can't say much about the schooling because I ended up the school, JJC has a really good program.
Yeah.
But when I was applying, it was like a 2-hour wait list, and I was already well into my 20s.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to bite the bullet and spend a pretty penny to go to a different school. So do your research. Get it
That's
early.
number one.
Yeah,
anyone out there who
early.
wants to get technician certified, do your research.
Yes. And then I just think it would be helpful for the general public to know that our job is not easy. Our mental health struggles daily, probably more than we let on. We show up every day, take care of your pets as our own, if not even better than our own, because we want to help. We're helpers by nature, and we do everything we can to help and educate. And when we're told things like we're not helping or we're not supportive, it hurts, and we take it home. And just be kind.
Yeah, and thank you for your vulnerability with that, Marissa. And then that's going to probably be the general theme you're going to hear with all of our technicians. Burnout and compassion fatigue is just so high and prevalent within this industry. And we've been grateful through COVID to have really amazing clients willing to work with us and love and care for their animal. But we see so many things where we can't always save a pet, and that's really hard for us. So thank you for that vulnerability. Now, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't talk of house calls and how amazing they are. I have been trying to get Marissa to join the team since I took over and purchased this business, but she was my surgical tech at one of the practices we used to work with. So I was like, oh my God, I don't know if she's going to like the different pace of house calls. I don't know if she would be willing to leave surgery. So now that you've been here for some time, what are you loving about house calls?
Honestly, I love going into the homes because that's where the pets and people are most comfortable. So you get to see a different side of people and their pets when they're in their own environment versus taking them out of their comfort zone and bringing them into a clinic setting. So when you're in their home where they're comfortable, you're able to be more personable and relate more and just create a different type of relationship than you're able to do in a clinic setting.
Yeah, it's just so neat, all the facets of veterinary medicine. So for anyone who is interested in becoming a technician, like that's one of the benefits of being a tech is that you could try it all. She always was my great surgical tech, so it's awesome to just see her grow in this role and really expand. And now she's doing laser therapy in the home and leading our tech assistant and leading our teams and everything like that. So we're so grateful to have you, and thank you for this interview. And this wraps up this edition of Interview Our Technicians. Bye. Hello, and welcome to our next round of Get to Know Our Technical Team. Today I have Michael with us. Michael's been with us for over a year and a half, and he is so instrumental and such a big asset to our team. So let's dive into Michael's questions. So Michael, I like to start asking everyone the same question, which is, why is the human-animal bond so important to you?
So I think everybody just needs a good support system. And so I think having animals always around us, that's a support system that's kind of unbiased, unjudgmental. They're always there. They're always wanting attention. They're always wanting praise. So it's always that connection that we have where you might be having a really crappy day. Everything's going wrong. You've just, horrible drive home from work. You get home and they're always happy to see you no matter how horrible your day was. So that bond has always been really important to me. All my animals that I've had have gotten me through very, difficult times in life and things like that. So just definitely having, that bond, having that bond and that connection is always very important to have.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to think how much unconditional love our animals get, and without that bond, how boring life would be. For the better, for the worse, for all of it, at different times. So Michael's almost done everything in vet med. He has been a practice manager, obviously a technician. He is now getting his master's in social work and will hopefully be doing a lot of veterinary social work with our team. And so I imagine you got started as a technician. So how long have you been doing this?
So I started in the kennel.
Okay.
Back when I was 16. So
Aww.
Back in 2002. Should I age myself? But I started September 2nd, 2002.
Oh, wow.
I was at that clinic for 10 years. Really enjoyed it, kind of grew with my role, grew quickly to an assistant, to a technician. I was actually a manager there for several years. And it was, a good learning environment. So I learned a lot of different skills and assets at that clinic.
Yeah, that's amazing. What do you like about, from the technician side, what do you love most about being a technician?
The client connection. I like to have the conversations of just wellness care, of preventative care, and just kind of getting to know the client as well as the patient, and just kind of helping build that bond between us, between them, and just kind of supporting in any way that we can.
Yeah, and that bond is obviously, like we said, so important, and being able to be that technician to help with the client interaction, and as you guys as pet parents just make it even more special, is so important. What would you want something for the general public to know about being a technician?
It's hard. So we're nurses, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're nursing staff at doctor's offices, hospitals. We get the brunt of a lot sometimes. But we're there to help support you guys, support, the clients and the pets. But it's difficult. We go home the same day, we have burnout. That's pretty difficult as well. Which is why, for me, the social work side is very important. Kind of working with staff, with clients, kind of combining all that. But I would say that's probably the most difficult.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the most difficult things, and it's a general theme that you're going to hear amongst all of us, is just how difficult that burnout could be and how demanding the job could be. So I think it's important, and this is why I wanted to do this with all of my technicians, is just help raise awareness. I think so many times people don't understand all that goes into being a tech and all the facets, from the highs and the lows and everything like that. And the more we could do to bring awareness to it, just the better what we all could become as a profession. So the last question I ask everybody is, of course, you're doing house calls with us now. What makes house calls so special, and what makes you love being a house call technician?
It's completely different from traditional in-clinic. When I went back to school for my social work degree, I was walking away from vet med. And until I found here and just saw this side of it, I was done. So I'm glad that I stayed and came back, and I'm here. But definitely seeing the pets in their environment, interacting with their people, in where they're most comfortable. Often we see them come in the clinic, they're stressed, they're anxious. We don't get a good feel of their personality. So I like that a lot, because you get to see them, bring you a toy at the door. You get to see them, kind of run and hide if they're a little bit nervous, but then come back out because they are comfortable with their house. So I think the connection with the clients and the pets is a lot stronger in house call. You're not in the cold, sterile room, 15, 20 minutes. You're, where they like to be and where they're most comfortable.
Yeah, it is so crazy. I love the fact that you're the first person to mention like the personalities, and I would totally agree. Like this is the first time we get to really see their true personality, where they're either not scared or aggressive or just not their true self. So you really get to see the essence of their life, and of course up close and front and personal, the human-animal bond. Well, Michael, this concludes the interview. It's short and sweet, and really I just want all of our clients to know and love you just as much as we have come to do the same. You guys are going to hopefully be seeing a lot more of Michael. We are in the works of working through an internship with his social work, masters that he's finalizing, so we could start providing more grief coaching, grief counseling, all of those types of things. So like he's kind of a jack of all trades. He's been helping me with office management stuff. This is like his doing right here when we're in the back room right now. We were in the parade on Saturday. So like this is raw, real. People are walking through, people are coming in, and just wanted you guys to kind of see what it's like a day in the life. So anyway, Michael, we'll be seeing more of you on social media. We're going to get this guy out here. He's got a lot to offer. Bye, everybody. All right, Welcome Waggin friends, family, and clients. We now have Heather up for our technician spotlight. And Heather, are you okay with me asking you a couple of questions about your life as a technician?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna dive in deep with some questions for you, Heather.
All right.
So why is the human-animal bond so important to you?
To me, it's important because I can just see the benefit that animals bring to people. Like, they're your best friend, they're your support system, they're there for you in good times and in bad, and they love you unconditionally. Like, I know with my dog, like if I've had a really bad day, like I know I'm gonna open that door and she's gonna run to me and she's gonna be wagging her tail and giving me kisses, and like it just makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. It's one of the questions I love asking people, because every day we see the whole gamut of the human-animal bond and just how much you guys as our clients just love your pets so much. And it's something that we always come back to when we're ever feeling burned out, stressed, or whatever, of why is that human bond so important to us. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in this career path, how long you've been a tech, all of those types of things.
So I got started as a tech back in 2012. So it's been 10 years. And I always loved animals, even though that wasn't my first career path. My degree is actually in theater, and I did work in professional theater for a while. But as much as I love theater, it was a hard life, always hustling for your next gig. And I always loved working with animals. And my mom worked for an animal clinic, and I always thought it would be really cool to be a technician. So I started actually out as working as a dog trainer, and then I knew somebody who worked for a vet clinic, and then she got me in there, and that was crazy to think that that was 10 years ago. And I've been at it ever since, and like I absolutely love it. I love what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that that connection with your mom is just such an important piece on why you'll always be very bonded to vet med and have that shared interest that you guys had together. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about what exactly do you love about being a technician?
What I love most about it is at the end of the day, what I do matters. You know, whether it's educating new puppy owners on how to care for their puppy or their kitten, you know, to making sure that someone's pet stays healthy by getting all of their preventative vaccines and staying up on their preventative care, to taking care of patients when they're sick and managing those chronic disease. And even though I would say it's definitely not the easiest part of my job, but to be able to be there to support families at the end, to be able to take away pain and suffering and to make that goodbye as peaceful as possible. So just being able to give that love and support.
Yeah, there's so many givers in this profession, and like you just have one of the biggest hearts I know. So of course, you know, being able to give back to your clients and your patients is so important to you. Mm-hmm. What is one thing that you would want the general public to know about being a vet tech?
The vet techs, we really do it all. Like, we are, you know, most of the time when you see us, we're in the exam room, like taking notes while the doctor's talking, but we're also the ones, you know, holding the animal for the exam. We're drawing the blood, we're performing the x-rays, we're administering and monitoring anesthesia. We are the one, you know, sitting on the floor curled up in the cage with your pet that's really sick, you know, administering those medications and those treatments. You know, a lot of times we'll like skip our lunches or I've spent many of a lunch hour sitting on the floor, like just petting a patient that was hospitalized, or I've stayed late or after my shift, or I've come in on my days off just to take care of a patient that I knew wasn't doing well. And obviously I'm not in the brick and mortar setting, but there was a client, you know, now that, you know, I helped get him in the car after hours on a Saturday. So, you know, it's one of those things, like, you may just see us in the exam room, but, you know, we are the ones that are there, you know, giving your pet that love and attention and giving a lot of ourselves and a lot of our time.
Yeah, you guys are always the ones there for those pets, and it's just, you're such an integral part of the veterinary team, because without that love and support, you guys are the ones, I just think, like in human nurses, you're the ones who are going to pick things up faster and notice subtle signs, because you're getting so much more hands-on time with those patients and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's so fun to watch all my technicians bloom and grow and really do what they love. So to wrap up this series is, tell me, of course we gotta talk about house calls and how awesome, amazing house calls are. So what do you love most about being a technician in the house call business?
Okay, house calls have been so much fun. Like, one of my loves outside of vet med is to travel. So I literally feel like I'm going on a road trip every day, but I feel like being in house calls, I know our clients on a whole different level, because I'm actually like, I'm in your living room, like seeing where your pet is, getting to see what your pet's doing, what their daily routine is like, you know. And I feel like because we're in their home, that with the clients, it is a lot more personal. I feel like I know way more about like their lives and their families and things like that. So it's getting to know them on that level, because I'm sitting in the living room and I'm looking at a picture of their kids or their grandkids, or like a souvenir from where they went on vacation in the summer. So it's, you know, getting to know them on that level. You don't get that in brick and mortar. You know, I got to know them there, of course, but it's totally different when you're, you know, sitting at their kitchen table versus just in an exam room.
Yes, of course. It's just such a completely different, intimate experience. Well, thank you so much, Heather, for letting me interview you. We love having you on the team. Heather has been with me almost since the start, literally the second month I started. I reached out to Heather and asked her to come join this team that needs some help growing the business. So we appreciate you so much. And yes, listeners, thanks for tuning in to Heather's story, and stay tuned as we talk about some of our other team member stories. I hope you guys are having a great day, and see you on the next episode.
All right, bye.
Bye.